Hello everyone. I want to show you a game from round 2, game 1 from the FIDE World Cup. This game is between one of my chess heroes, a player that I am extremely familiar with as far as his repertoire is concerned, and um, and I'm honored to actually go over this game. With the white pieces, Grandmaster Alexey Dreev, and with the black pieces, world champion Magnus Carlsen. So let's get right into it. Dreev started off with his customary d4, d5 from Carlsen, c4, e6, knight c3. And now we have bishop b4. This is move you don't really see too much, but there's transpositional possibilities. Notice the main feature leaves the knight off f6, and it creates this nimzo Indian type pressure on the queen side. So there's a lot of transpositional possibilities. A nimzo Indian can occur from this. The game can also turn into a Ragozin. So this is an interesting opening by black, and I think it's going to increase in popularity, especially since the world champion is playing it. In my research for this game, I noticed a game played in this line by Norway's Jan Ludwig Hammer in the Norway Rapids, also with the black pieces against a player named Skranda, where he won. And perhaps this is where Magnus might have got in some of his inspiration from his fellow countrymen. So Dreev continued in classic fashion with knight f3. Now the knight comes out to f6. Bishop g5. And now it's looking more like a Ragozin formation. h6. Bishop takes f6. Queen takes f6. Now here, this is all theory, of course. Now here, different moves have been tried. One is queen a4 check, forcing the knight to come into c6. This is why I say there are transpositional possibilities into a Ragozin. For instance, in the Singfield Cup that just took place a while ago, in the game Aronian So, the game continued in this manner. Queen a4 check, knight c6, and we saw e3, castle from Wesley So, bishop e2, d takes c4, castle by Aronian, bishop takes c3, and then we saw these players play. Now Wesley didn't have a good tournament this tournament in the Singfield Cup, but I just wanted to show you some of the transpositional possibilities there. The b takes c3. Wesley So simply played bishop d7, and then queen takes c4. And we can see white has this nice center, and he actually went on to win the game. He was able to put pressure, a lot of pressure on Wesley So, and eventually push this center and overwhelm the cramped black position. But of course, Wesley had a bad tournament and did kind of assist in his own demise there. Another move that has been tried, besides queen a4 check, is the simple and straightforward e3. And for example, in the game Bu Zhengzhai versus Yu Yang Wei, in the rapid game, game took A pretty normal looking course. And these players eventually end up agreeing to a draw. Okay, after the queens were exchanged, and you can see the symmetrical nature that resulted. Black has, just the only problem to deal with is just getting his remaining pieces out and solving, this little situation on the queen side, and then he should be able to equalize. And this is what he did during this game, and it wound up being a draw. Another idea besides e3 and rook c1 was e3 followed by queen b3, immediately questioning the bishop. This happened in the rapid game between GM Lai and Pentala Hari Krishna. Hari Krishna had continued with the move c5 here. And then after c takes d5, e takes d5, d takes c5, bishop takes, queen takes, queen takes, b takes, knight d7, rook d1, knight takes c5, and rook d5. White was able to actually accumulate some pressure on this position, although Hari Krishna probably should have held this game. Okay, going back to what happened in our game, Dreev played another theoretical move, which is queen b3, and this is why I had showed you the line with e3, because it's the same idea just without e3 played. In the game I just showed you, we saw e3, castle, and queen b3. But in the Dreev Carlsen game, Dreev immediately opted for queen b3. c5, again, castle. The only difference is castle and e3 haven't been played. C takes d5, e takes d5. So both players seem familiar with these other games. And now a3. So instead of e3, say castle, now a3. Again, challenging the bishop immediately. Bishop takes. Queen takes c3. And now c4 by Carlsen. Now this is the specific move that I was alluding to when I said that Magnus might have gotten this idea from Jean Ludwig Hammer, as this was played earlier in the year, as he had the black pieces. This move c4. This is a rare guest, and it's double-edged, because usually when black plays, releases the tension with c4 in this position, it invites this e4 move from white. The interesting part about this particular position, however, is that with the knight gone from c3, the effect is drastically weakened. Okay, because there will be no c takes and then followed by knight takes, for example, and with the tempo on the queen. All right. Matter of fact, it's hard to just push e4 without just a simple d takes e4. All right. So another thing that black has in his favor is, with this pawn sitting here like that, there's some endgame advantages. For instance, he already has a passed pawn, and eventually he wants to push the B and A pawns up to assist in creating a queen after producing a fully passed pawn on the queen side. Right, you see a similar idea in the Tarrasch defense, in the Queen's Gambit declined. All right, I think it's called the Swedish variation in the Tarrasch. So very, very interesting. Now this move c4 was met by b3 by Dreev, immediately challenging the center here. Now, before going on, I just want to show you that before c4 was played, another choice was played in most of the games. One was knight d7, and this took place in a game between Salem and with the white pieces and Yuhai Fan. And basically, not to go into the game, but black ended up with an isolated pawn. White put some pressure on the pawn, and black was able to hold in the end, but with the isolated pawn. So that's another benefit of pushing c4. Although it loses a little time, you avoid the isolated pawn weakness. So here, black's problem right now is that he just needs to develop his pieces. So it's a time situation really right now for black. He has to make sure he gets his pieces situated. But it's not like white has this great lead in development either. So, but he does have one tempi on the position with this knight up. So Dreev attacks immediately with b3. Of course, he would love to get black just to play moves like c takes b3, so that he can pick up this bishop here with check. But that would only happen in a real beginner type blitz game. But just to give you an idea that there's real pressure on this pawn. Bishop e6. Idea now, just simply protecting the pawn. If b takes c, then d takes c. Knight e5. And here is kind of where Dreev starts to lose the thread in the position. Again, he's not that far ahead in development himself, and perhaps he should have just settled for b takes c4 and d takes c4 and then move e4, castle, bishop e2, and then down the road perhaps looking forward to pick up this pawn. However, he played knight e5 immediately, castles, e3, and you can see the idea that he had is just to put maximum pressure here on this pawn, and also to try to make it difficult for black to achieve freedom for his knight. Knight c6, bishop e2, and again, allowing this exchange was bad for black. I'm sorry, bad for white. Perhaps again he should have just opted for b takes c4. Then if knight takes, d takes. And then say after queen g6, perhaps to c5, keeping the position closed as white is falling behind in development a little bit. So now what happened is after bishop e2, notice this pawn is not protected. So now the exchange happened. So now we see black's pawn structure, it damaged a little bit. And now queen g6 with tempo against this pawn. Castle. And now a tactical shot, d4. if queen takes d4, then just simply rook fd8, bringing black's pieces, you know, into the game in a really strong and effective way. Game could go queen b2, c takes b3, for example. And again, this is going to be felt later on in the end game, this 3-1 majority. And that's another benefit of the exchange. Notice how all of white's moves, all of black's moves fit in with this idea and strength of this pawn majority on the queen side. Now, going back, he took with the pawn, e takes d4, c takes b3. Again, black has no issues with the central pawns, because the central pawns aren't really supported right now. So they're kind of fixed. If they could advance and drive the bishop away, then it would be something else. But right now they're kind of stuck here. And black has established this 3-1 majority on the queen side, which will definitely be very dangerous for white to have to deal with. So Dreev plays bishop f3, immediately trying to establish authority over the d5 square. Not only does he strike the b7 pawn, but he also has d5 in mind, cutting off the bishop and then picking up this pawn. Good plan. Rook a7, rook through c8. Very important tempo against the queen, and bringing the rook to open file and to safety, and preparing to protect this pawn if he has to. Now, just think of this situation is that black has double pawns in the b file, and if he has to give one up, it will be the b7 pawn instead of this one. Queen moves to e3. Magnus offers a queen trade. Why? Because he has a superior endgame. He's not even worried about this advance at this point. Dreev gets in front of the passed pawn here. Endgame, queen takes e3, f takes e3. And now rook fd8. Again, with this idea of blockading the d5 square. So one lesson that you can learn also is that just having pawns in the center in itself is not a means to an end. The pawns have to be mobile. When they can't move, they just become liabilities and just targets often. And so we see that here, that Magnus kind of, white has this beautiful constellation of pawns in the center, but they can't move. If white could get a couple of moves, he would love to play e4, d5, and then be rolling. Right? But he can't. Bishop takes b7. Magnus parts with the b7 pawn. No problem. As this gives him free tempo here. And finally, Dreev decides, okay, we got to push d5. And bishop d7 happens. Now, if the idea behind d5 is if bishop takes d5, then this rook will pin the bishop here. This is why Magnus says, okay, bishop d7. But notice how the pawn is still protected. Now this time by the rook. Rook f4. Of course. Wanting to come here. So a5 stops the rook from getting to this square. King f2. And now attack on the bishop. Bishop to c6. And this is just desperation. Bishop takes c6. D takes c6, and just losing the pawn. And now the position clarifies drastically here, as white has these two ugly pawns on the e file versus beautiful pawns for black here. Notably this one right here on b3, which totally restricts white's rook. Rook d4, taking over the second rank and preparing to push. What else is there to do? Rook b5, a4, just simply grabbing the pawn, check, and Dreev resigned. 32 moves. So very strong game by Magnus. And if you're interested, check out that Ludwig Hammer game. I think the players with the white pieces name is Skranda, Skranda. He's just a FIDE master. It was rated 2277 with the white pieces, and with the black pieces, John Ludwig Hammer. And again, I think this was where Magnus might have gotten this idea to play this move, c4. There's very few games in this line, and I think he just caught Dreev off guard. Dreev played, of course, he's grandmaster. He played, you know, just natural looking moves, but in this day and age of preparation and computer assistance, it's hard just to play just on general principles sometime. And again, I think this will be a fashionable opening system that you'll see more and more often. But again, white does have the option again of transposing into known Ragozin lines, and this is probably maybe what Dreev should have opted for if he wasn't too prepared. Maybe after bishop takes, queen takes f6, and then instead of stopping at queen b3, just take it all the way with the check, and then at least be somewhere where you're a little bit more familiar. Or another scenario is perhaps he was familiar but just got outplayed. So there you have it. And please like and subscribe. I hope you learned something from that video. Comments, questions are welcome. Donations are welcome to help support this channel. And I'll see you shortly on the next video.